Peter Cunningham will do battle down towards the first corner. Away they go then, and it's the yellow and orange car that's got the slightly better start. That's Dominic Dobson, who's had one win coming into this race in the championship. That was in Detroit earlier on in the season. Remember, there are 2 races at each of the championship rounds of the series, and this is the first of 2 races over the weekend for these guys. In fact, the second race takes place pretty soon after the first one. Good battle up front between Dobson and Peter Cunningham. Peter Cunningham is in the Honda, the white Honda on the outside there, and it looks as though Peter Cunningham may well be able to get the Honda ahead in this first lap. Behind them, there's some good battling going on. David Donoghue is in 3rd place. Neil Crompton has moved further down, actually. He's not been a good opening lap this for Crompton. He's now back down in 6th place. There he is, the blue and white number 4 car. Neil Crompton really has not made a good getaway, having started on the second row of the grid, won the opening 2 races in Long Beach, and they really seem to have a good setup on the car for the street tracks, but not getting away at all well in the early stages of this race in Toronto. So up front, it's Peter Cunningham, the veteran Honda driver who came into the Touring Car Series during 1996, a quick flash from the onboard with Randy Pobst, but problems there for Desiree Wilson. Desiree Wilson has damaged the suspension. Now, whether that's as a result of contact, meanwhile, the leaders change again. Dobson retakes the lead. Dominic Dobson in the Dodge, as Desiree Wilson has come to a halt now and is forced to retire from this race in the Mazda, so it's a shame for her. But up front, it's still the battle raging for the lead. In fact, Dobson's now managed to pull away very slightly, and Dominic Dobson, there he is, with the advantage. Meanwhile, there's some good battles going on. We saw Pobst get a little bit crossed up. Cunningham still in 2nd. Donoghue still in 3rd. Now, this is the battle behind, as Darren Law gets a view of Neil Crompton coming alongside. Now we see it from Neil Crompton's point of view. And Neil Crompton now taking 5th place from Darren Law's BMW. He's now got the other BMW of Randy Pobst right ahead. Look at this battle for 2nd place. You ride on board with David Donoghue as he tries to get past Peter Cunningham, squeezes down the inside, but Cunningham says not quite. You can't quite get through there, and Donoghue in the other of the Dodges stays in 3rd place. The Pac West run Dodge up front and in 3rd place at the moment, so the team going well as this battle continues. This is Darren Law trying to get past Randy Pobst, the 2 BMWs running together. Remember, Randy Pobst won the championship last year, managed to beat Dominic Dobson narrowly in the series. Look at this, it's a late breaking battle. Oh, Pobst gets well crossed up as he tries to fend off Darren Law, and he doesn't quite do it. Law, in fact, takes advantage of Randy Pobst getting into trouble, and Darren Law now takes over that position. Meanwhile, Neil Crompton is also on the move. Let's watch him on board with the Australian commentator and very effective racer, already a race winner in the championship, running with Tasman Motorsports, and he now goes up the inside, tries to get past Donoghue. He's done it. He's up into 3rd place. So Crompton now in 3rd position. We're on to the final lap. Dominic Dobson still up front, but now Cunningham coming under pressure from Neil Crompton. Crompton dives down the inside, makes a very effective pass into turn 1 and goes into 2nd place. I don't think he's going to be able to improve on 2nd on this last lap. Dominic Dobson has a very comfortable margin, but Crompton now just trying to protect that 2nd place from Peter Cunningham, who wants to try and take it back on this remaining lap. Cunningham gets alongside, but Crompton driving sensibly, just defending his line and not giving Cunningham the opportunity to nip through again. So as the leader comes around on this final lap, Cunningham again having a look. That was a corner that Zanardi managed to make up a few places throughout the course of the kart race, but Cunningham not quite able to find that same gap there. So Dominic Dobson it is from Neil Crompton. Dobson is now into the final few corners of this twisty Toronto track, and it's going to be victory for Dominic Dobson. That'll be his 2nd win of the season, following victory in Detroit, another street track. Dominic Dobson then comes through to win the race in the Pac West Dodge. 2nd place after a good fight back up through the field for Neil Crompton. Remember, he went down to 2nd position at one time, went down to 6th place at one time, came back up to finish in 2nd. There are the results. Cunningham holding on to 3rd, Donoghue 4th, with Darren Law in 5th, and David Welch in the Ford in 6th place, with the other finishers, Desiree Wilson, of course, not actually managing to finish the race in the Mazda. So on to race 12 of the series, the 2nd race here to be held in Toronto. Crompton and Dobson on the front row together, Cunningham and David Donahue on the second row. And then we've got the two BMWs that were battling so well in the first race, the Randy Popes and Darren Law. They'll be together again, this time starting from the third row of the grid. Fourth row, David Welch and Bob Shader. Behind them, Roberto Quintanilla and Desiree Wilson. Hopefully got that car running again. And at the back, Doug Beattie in another of the BMWs. So, all set to race again. Neil Crompton starts on the left-hand side in the blue and white Tasman Motorsports run Honda. On the right-hand side is Dominic Dobson, the winner of that first race, but it's Crompton who made the best start there. Crompton getting away far more effectively than he did in the first race when he dropped down so many places on the opening lap, having started from the second row of the grid. This time, Crompton converts that pole position into a very effective lead, and Dobson now goes chasing after him. Cunningham is in third. Darren Law is in fourth place, with David Donahue right there as well, and then behind them, Randy Popes. Battle for second on there as Crompton just makes sure of leading this opening lap. Meanwhile, that battle behind continues, and Darren Law with David Donahue and Randy Popes all in position there and fighting. But so far, Randy Popes, the reigning champion, not able to get past the Dodge and the BMW ahead of him. David Welch then leads up the next group in his Ford, and the onboard view with Dominic Dobson shows that he's had a good old go there at trying to get past Neil Crompton for the lead, but he couldn't quite make it happen. Now watch this, Darren Law has been passed by David Donahue. Donahue's got the big red and white Dodge past the red and blue BMW. Meanwhile, there's another Mazda in trouble, and this time it's Bob Shader, not Desiree Wilson. We saw in trouble in the earlier race, but teammate Bob Shader, he pulls into the pits and he goes out of the race. So Mazda not having a particularly good day here with the Zedos, as it was known when it raced in the British Touring Car Championship, but here in America called something slightly different. Donahue there, still chasing hard. He made a rather poor start in this second race. He started on the second row of the grid, but lost several places on the first lap. He's now running a bit more competitively. Crompton leads, Dobson second, Cunningham in third, Donahue now up into fourth position. But so far, nobody can beat Neil Crompton here. As I mentioned, he won the opening two rounds of the championship in Long Beach, but since then, things haven't gone quite according to plan. We've seen a number of different winners, in fact. David Donahue having won 3 races, one in Detroit, one in Portland, and one in Cleveland. Peter Cunningham in the other Honda, run separately. Peter Cunningham's car run with a different team, but he's taken a few wins, particularly 2 in Savannah, 1 in Portland, and 1 in Cleveland as well. Meanwhile, you're watching the battle between David Welch and Darren Law. Law has dropped back a few places, must have made a mistake somewhere along the line, and he's now trying to get past that Ford of David Welch. There's race leader, Neil Crompton. Crompton also involved with Australian TV, working as a commentator, and also doing some work with the kart series, interviewing some of the top drivers. So he has a busy weekend when he comes to one of these events, supporting the PPG Kart World Series. On to his final lap though, and Crompton heading for what would be his 3rd win of the season, and his first one since the opening 2 races in Long Beach. It's been a little bit of a dry spell for him. Dobson in 2nd place, 3rd place for Cunningham, and a bit of a gap back. Donahue was holding on to 4th. He seems to have dropped back a little bit now. Still in 4th position, but quite some way behind the leaders. David Donahue, son of the late Mark Donahue, who raced in Formula 1 and raced in the United States for a long time, of course. Coming around towards the end of the lap, though, and Neil Crompton comes through to take the victory here in the second race as the light fails a little bit. The light for Steve Horn and for the Tasman crew, and Neil Crompton does the job in race 2. So he wins it from Dominic Dobson, Peter Cunningham 3rd, David Donahue 4th, from David Welch, and Darren Law recovering to finish in 6th.